First and foremost, these floods in Texas are horrific. My heart goes out to every single family affected by this. I can't even imagine the pain, shock, and loss that they're feeling right now. And they shouldn't have to feel this. Like, no family should ever face this kind of devastation. So let me be absolutely clear before anything else. Mocking the victims of this tragedy is not okay. I don't care what party you voted for. If you're out here using this moment to mock or dehumanize grieving families, I'm not with you. Full stop. But with that being said, I also can't ignore the hypocrisy and gaslighting that's pouring in right alongside this floodwater. Right-wing influencers are out here yelling that Democrats are politicizing tragedy just because we're pointing out the consequences of Trump-era budget cuts. They say we're mocking Christian families or blaming victims when really all we're doing is asking a very basic question. Why were we warned this could happen and nothing was done? Meteorologists, climate scientists, and the people inside the National Weather Service told us months ago that Trump's cuts to the NOAA were dangerous. Staffing shortages, fewer weather balloon launches, degraded early warning systems, forecasting models, missing key data. They said it wasn't a matter of if it was going to impact people, but when.
As you've grown accustomed to my presentations over my 34 years in South Florida newscasts, confidently, I went on TV and I told you it's going to turn. You don't need to worry. It is going to turn. And I am here to tell you that I am not sure I can do that this year because of the cuts, the gutting, the sledgehammer attack on science in general, and I could talk about that for a long, long time, and how that is affecting the U.S. Leadership in science over many years, and how we're losing that leadership, and this is a multi-generational impact on science in this country, all right? But specifically, let's talk about the federal government cuts to the National Weather Service and to NOAA. Did you know that Central and South Florida National Weather Service offices are currently basically 20 to 40% understaffed? From Tampa to Key West, including the Miami office, 20 to 40% understaffed. Now, this type of staffing shortage is having impacts across the nation because there's been a nearly 20% reduction in weather balloon launches that carry those radiosondes. And what we're starting to see is that the quality of the forecasts is becoming degraded.
That video and warning was from over a month ago. And now the when is here. And instead of taking responsibility, the GOP is spinning it hard. Just this week, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem went on camera saying that Donald Trump is working to fix the ancient and neglected weather systems.
My background is before I was in the secretary position here under the Trump administration, I was governor of South Dakota and served in Congress for 8 years before I was governor. And so I will tell you that for decades, for years, everybody knows that the weather is extremely difficult to predict, but also that the National Weather Service over the years at times has done well, and at times we have all wanted more time and more warning and more alerts and more notification. That is something, and one of the reasons that when President Trump took office, that he said he wanted to fix, and is currently upgrading the technology, and the National Weather Service has indicated that with that and NOAA that we needed to renew this ancient system that has been left in place with the federal government for many, many years, and that is the reforms that are ongoing there.
And listen, we all know this is their subtle way to point the finger at Joe Biden, but let's set the record straight. You don't get to cut the budget, gut the staffing, downsize emergency forecasting infrastructure, and then turn around and say, well, we're only stepping in now because they didn't fix what we broke. This isn't a superhero rescue. It's an arsonist showing up with a damn squirt gun. And while we're here, can we talk about how fast they claim the moral high ground when tragedy hits white Christian communities? Only after spending the last 6 months laughing at immigrant families being deported. Where was all this compassion when ICE agents were beating down doors and dragging parents away from their kids? Where was this empathy when folks online were saying Mexican tears make me smile, when they joked about owning libs by cutting food stamps and Medicaid from low-income families? Some of y'all only find your heart when the victims look like you. And I hate to even say this, but ask yourself, if this had been a migrant summer camp flooded in Texas, would they even care? Would Kristi Noem be rushing to the mic to defend those families? You and I both know the answer to that question. So no, pointing out that irresponsible policy decisions led to preventable tragedy is not politicizing grief. It's called accountability. You know, you can mourn the dead and ask how we failed to protect the living. You can respect the victims and demand better from the people who made the systems too weak to warn them. Because if we don't say something now, if we don't connect the dots while they're still fresh, then nothing gets fixed. And the next time it rains, the water rises, and more lives are lost, they'll just say again, no one could have predicted this. Except a lot of people did. Period.
Don't want no enemies or ops. Envy in they heart, I tell them stop. Vacation on the yacht.